back from Kentucky or wherever she was?
Well, we'll never know. Apparently, she got in very late. She went to bed to go to sleep, and then he shot her in her sleep about 1 o'clock in the afternoon of the next day.
My guess is...
Go ahead.
My guess is he was, acting out in spades, acting out avoidant syndrome, avoidant attachment syndrome, but instead of merely getting mad because she left him, he took it to it's the ultimate extreme.
Well, that may be a factor involved in it. Kathy had started to leave Kentucky on Sunday, September 6th, but her sister Pam had persuaded her to stay another day. Later on, Pam related that several things that Kathy said during her 6-week visit led her to believe that Kathy knew that her time was near. Catherine's mother... I'm sorry, go ahead.
You think there might have been an unconscious pact going on?
That's hard to say, and this becomes quite involved when you look back at the discussion group a year earlier and the numerous meetings in which Michael made references to death, veiled references to knowing how he was going to die, which leads me to something which Catherine's mother said after the event had occurred. Catherine's mother said that weekend before Kathy got back and the murder-suicide happened, something told me I should get those rifles. They were Kathy's, out of the house. Michael told me he hadn't slept for 3 days, and I could tell he was completely out of it. He seemed to be under the influence of some drugs, and it scared me. I believe he had been planning what he did up to a year earlier. Kathy never believed that he would actually harm her. Michael asked me for Kathy's tape recorder, which was at my house at the time. I'm sure he was planning to leave a tape-recorded suicide message, but I never brought him the recorder. Now, that's what Catherine's mother had to say.
You knew him. What do you think was going on?
I think Katherine did not believe he would actually harm her. I think that she thought she could come back and get her stuff and could go to Kentucky and stay with her sister. I think that, on the other hand, Michael had indeed premeditated and planned the whole thing out. Whether you want to carry it back a full year or whether you want to just say, well, during that 2 or 3 days while he was there at the house without any sleep, waiting for her to get back, he premeditated and planned it out then at that time. The elaborate details of the suicide notes that were left on the table are obviously an indication of a premeditation of the event. Now, how long that premeditation was, whether it was simply a day or a few hours before she arrived, or whether you want to drag it back further, is speculation. That's how I would weigh in on that. Go ahead.
Did you ever see the suicide note?
Absolutely, I did, and I have copies of them. It's not a written note; it's drawings, it's pictures.
Oh.
Was there, Rich? Was there a specific reason why Catherine left him in the first place? Was there some incident or a combination of incidences where she felt she had to leave, or did she just leave because you had said she was willful and didn't like to be told exactly what to do?
Good question.
Very good question, and I can partially answer it based on what I know of their relationship during that year that I was around them and close to them. I don't think she liked him trying to control her. I don't think she liked him being upset when she was gone for long periods of time. I don't think that she wanted anybody to try to control or rein her in. I think that she wanted her independence. She wanted to come and go as she pleased. She viewed his behavior toward her as a form of possessiveness or a form of jealousy. And I think she was rebelling against that, definitely.
Well, if she left him for a period of 5 weeks, why did she not just go ahead and file for divorce? That does seem, unusual.
Well, they weren't actually married. They had simply been living together. They never actually married.
I see. I was thinking that they had married at one point.
No, they never actually married.
But there was no specific incidents that you knew of that had happened, like maybe domestic violence or
I'm not
something
aware
like
of
that.
there ever having been any domestic violence between the two of them. Not that I saw, not that she told me about, not that I was ever aware of. No. Just
very odd.
I think he was a narcissist, just from what I saw, and because he is so incredibly like the narcissist that unfortunately I know, and the narcissist wife is very much like Catherine. It's almost like a Stockholm syndrome. Like, you don't think they'll do things, but they're just in it for them. Is it almost like a God complex?
You may be right.
A lot of what I read today on Michael really turned my stomach, because I was seeing this other person within him, and it's really bothering. The woman I'm speaking of, and I won't name her, but has repeatedly been beaten, abused, and is rescued and goes back, and is rescued and goes back, and it's almost like an obsession. Like they can't break free because they're beat down emotionally and physically to a point where they think they are kept away from their family and their friends. Like all of their friends are kind of thrown to the side. Like, if you have a friend, you're not my friend. If you love this person, you don't love me. And then it's no one loves you, nobody will be around you. And the only way I finally got through to that person was when I told them, no matter what you do to me, no matter what you say to me, no matter how mean you are to me, I will always love you, and that will never, ever change. And no matter what anyone says, you can rely on that. And she called me one day and said, when he was saying that no one loved me, that no one cared, I remembered what you said to me. So when people are in situations like that with narcissists, I always tell them, make sure that your family member knows you are not going anywhere, you love them, and you will always be their safe place to land. And let me tell you, sometimes she has made me so mad and so hurt that I wanted to walk away, but I realized what she's saying a lot of times wasn't her words, but his. And in the end, I don't know. In the end, it may end up like the same situation, but I can only do what I can do. I'm in Pennsylvania. They're not in Pennsylvania. I've gotten pictures, bruises, banged up, ligature marks around the neck. What do you do? Nothing you can do. You have no legal rights.
I've never understood women that, were in situations like that, and yet they keep going back.
Because they feel they're not worthy of anyone else, because they feel that no one else loves them or will love them, and because the narcissist and the abuser has pushed everyone away and made it so that they don't have anyone else. The first conversation that this woman had with this man was when they were teenagers, and he said, is your father in the home? Is he around? And the second question was, do you have older brothers or brothers? When the answers were all no, then he came into the picture. One of the first things he said to her was, I want to rape your soul. That's pretty freaking bizarre. If you think about it, rape your soul, and that's basically what he's done.
Well, you said that there's no place for them to go and there's nothing for them to do, but in this day and age, I know I live in Illinois, and I know there's all kinds of places that these women can go now. Whether it be financed through the community or through the state or whatever, there's safe places to go.
In this situation, sorry, I have a dog. In the state where this person is in, there are children involved. If she goes to a shelter, she is immediately put into a mental health facility for 72 hours, which leaves the children with no one but the narcissist. So that is out of the question. If she leaves the state with the children, she has then kidnapped her own children, because in this state, which I won't mention, in this state, everything is the property of the man. The woman is worth nothing. It is really disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And I didn't believe her.
It's not like that here in Illinois at all. It's like if something were to happen, I'm not married, but if I were, something were to happen, within probably an hour after calling the police, I would be in a safe place.
Not in this state. If had this person stayed in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is a woman's state. The man, for a woman to lose custody of her children, she literally has to be shooting up crack in front of the police in the middle of a highway. It's really on the extreme opposite end. And the children were born in this state, and she was warned not to return to that state, but she did. And now it's a mess. It's a total mess. And all I can do is sit back and pray, because there's nothing I can do. I have zero rights. She has only a little bit more than me. She cannot even leave her county, and the narcissist has contacted the police, and he is watching them. So if she leaves, she would even make it up on the street. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The bruises are horrid. Horrid.
Well, in my county here, in Coles County in Illinois, some of our tax dollars go to these, women's shelters and help for, women that are in domestic violence situations, or, there's no place for them to go, or a safe place for them to stay. And, that is provided through I guess it would be our county.
Well, there's a case here we had where there was a family of girls, and the father was a satanic worshiper, and he would do these rituals with the children and rape the girls and have sex with dogs, and it was horrible. She went to her principal at the local school, and they called the father to come pick her up. Thank God she ran out of the school and ran to an uncle's house, I guess the mother's relative, who hid her. And then I had a store at the time, and the guy came up to my store and said, "What do I do with this girl? People are coming looking for her." I said, "First of all, don't take her out of her hiding place until dark, and then take her to this women's help center we have, which is fabulous." Well, the women's help center, even though she was a child, listen to her. They go into the house. They literally walk in and see this man having sex with a German Shepherd. Like, literally. They said the place was horrid. It was so bad. It's considered one of the worst cases of child abuse in the nation.
Oh, that sounds terrific.
They tore the building down. They took all the kids out, and they're using their own last name now, which is really weird. I don't understand why. I would have never used that name because somebody know around here. But they took them, put them in foster homes, and they helped them. But imagine you go for help, and the principal calls your dad to come get you. The very person who you've just said has been raping you, and we're talking like bloodletting and vampire stuff. Oh, it was bizarre. Like, I couldn't even believe it when I was reading. And what this uncle was telling me, thank God the uncle was within running distance. She literally ran to his house and hid in his attic. And to this day, the guy does not know where his daughter was, and thank God. I don't know why he even thought to come ask me, but the guy is just a guy, and he's like, "I don't know what to do." He said, "I thought you might know," and luckily I did know, to help her. And just amazing how disgusting people can be, and I don't know. It makes you wonder what's up with this world.
Not to change the subject, Rich, but I was just kind of wondering. You knew Michael and Kat, and what were they like?
Okay, he was very charismatic, very, very charming, very articulate, very knowledgeable, very well read. He could hold forth at the discussion group, and everyone within the group absolutely hung on to his every word. He created a very strong impression that he knew something that you didn't, and that he knew a lot more than you, and that he was more spiritually advanced than you. And he conveyed that not only to me, but to everyone who dealt with him, and everybody bought that. Everybody believed that he was a great teacher, an adept, an avatar, whatever he was attempting to present himself as, and we all thought that he possessed, mystical and esoteric knowledge that the rest of us didn't have, and that he's going to reveal these things to us. And he did tell an awful lot of interesting stories and experiences. One of the things, and this ties in very strongly with Becky's narcissism observation a minute ago. Michael maintained that he was in contact with an entity, a force that directed him to start the discussion group. He said that he had... Go ahead.
Interestingly, with the exception of saying he was speaking to God, that is the narcissist I know. Only this narcissist has come out and said that he has sold his soul to the devil. Like, he said it, and, and that he would die, even though, like, the rock star legend, you sell your soul to the devil and you die at 27. Like, he told me himself that he did that. And he had his charisma. Oh, my God. He just, like, people would follow him. Like,
it's very, 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 without interrupting you, Becky, it's very interesting that you use that example, because Michael claimed that he had gone off on a journey, on a search for the devil, and he did not find one. He claimed that the only thing he found was that the definition of evil lies with the user. In other words, that evil simply lies with the decisions that someone makes. So Michael did not acknowledge or believe in a devil, but he very definitely believed in an entity or a force that had directed him to start the discussion group. He claimed to be in communication. Go ahead.
What religion was he? Was he Christian?
Well, that's a very interesting point, too. That's a very interesting
I just kind of wondered. He kind of comes across as a religious fanatic, or what I would call a religious nut.
Well, he did not attend a church, okay? He didn't attend any church. In one of the discussion groups, he even talks about having not set foot in a church for 15 years. But he did very definitely believe in the God consciousness. He did believe in the Christ consciousness. He did believe that Christ was returning to earth at some future point. He did believe in other spiritual entities, such as this being that he claimed to be in communication with. He said that the communication he had was on a different level, with something outside of this reality. He said he had set off on an astral journey to find the devil. He found no devil, but he found that evil lies in the user of the power that is there. He said that he had been brought to this city and to the starting of the group by a force so powerful that he would not even think about saying why. He claimed that there were past karmatic incarnation ties among the group members, and he viewed the group as the beginning of the future. He said that he had made a decision to get out of this circle of incarnations as fast as possible. Once again, that's a foreshadowing of the murder-suicide to come. In other words, a lot of statements he made as a group are foreshadowings, but we didn't see it. It just sailed right over our heads, because you don't expect that type of thing. You don't expect that out of someone. And so when they actually tell you what they're going to do, you don't recognize it. You don't realize it for what it is. You do retrospect. You can look back and see what he said a year earlier, and you can see it then after it's already too late, but you don't see it at the time.